for nearly a half a century. Names have been made, careers have been advanced. From the Grand Prix of Long Beach, and it's day 2 of the 49th edition, the 40th time for IndyCars, and practice 2 is underway from the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. Thanks for joining us this morning. Kevin Lee, James Hinchcliffe, Marty Snyder, ready to go with 27 IndyCars leaving the pit lane for the second critical practice session of the weekend, and no more practices before qualifying later today, Hinch.
And that's what makes it so critical. This is the last chance the drivers get to dial in these machines before they throw on those alternate tires again and go for broke over a single lap to set the grid for tomorrow's Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. So a very important session for all drivers, but extra critical for some of these rookies that are driving around Long Beach for the first time.
There
Canapino.
is Augustine Canapino.
Is that maybe down in turn 9? Yeah. End of that back straightaway, we saw multiple drivers in the runoff here yesterday, just getting that bump on the brakes. So easy to lock a tire. Let's take another look at what happened to the 78. Front lock. And then probably try to do the while still moving spin to get the car. Oh, he came to a stop. Just tipped it with the rear wing. I don't think it's going to cause any damage. Just another look at it there. Yeah, again, the tires are cold. They're going to take a couple extra laps to come in, or at least an extra lap, maybe half lap before you got the full grip. Little close quarters there. Wow. Pato working around the outside of Pietro Fittipaldi to just join the back of this queue. But yeah, no, it's a great point. Most IndyCar drivers are still, they're just rolling out of bed around now. But luckily, being out on the West Coast, I'm sure a lot of them tried to stay as much on East Coast time as you can, going to bed early, getting up early. So that feels more like a noon session. So take another look here. You see Pato in the black and orange car at the top of your screen, just coming up on a train of cars trying to find a gap. It kind of reminds me of Takuma Sato and Romain Grosjean at St. Pete a few years ago during morning warm-up. That train of cars just checking up there.
And Pietro's just trying to get out of the way, and I'm wondering which way do I go.
Yeah, nothing Pietro can do there. Yeah, Pato making the decision to pass one car just to sit behind 4 more, but c'est la vie.
Let's see what happened to Tom Blomqvist here. Turn 9 again.
Same thing. So there's this bump, Kevin. It's right on line in the brake zone, and it's really right when you want to be hitting the brakes, as we see another car down. That's the 20 of Christian Rasmussen in the turn 9 runoff. So this has given us a nice indication of where the big problem area is going to be in qualifying. Remember, in qualifying, this could cost you your fastest laps if you cause yellows in here or reds. But the hope in qualifying is that with the low fuel, with the alternate tires on, you can actually brake just a fraction of a second. I'm talking a foot or two. Oh, contact with the wall for the 12-wheel power. You see that left rear tire completely towed out. So he's cranked the wall somewhere, maybe coming out of turn 8. Trying to nurse the Penske car. Will probably come in the back door here to pit lane. I'll try to track down where that happened, but that's a good hit. 35 minutes left in the session. I bet they can get if it's just a steering arm, just a toe link, they can get that. Not a steering arm, it's on the rear. If they get the toe link fixed, he could get back out there, but you see how cocked the steering wheel is in a straight line. Big contact for Will. Yeah, it was turn 8. You see coming through there, same part we just saw that replay from yesterday, and much more significant contact.
That's not a kiss.
That's not a kiss or a cuddle.
No.
That's a slap in the face. But we talked to the drivers who said that turn 8, they got rid of a bump there that has just made this corner so much faster. Put the cars more on edge, Marty, and it bit Will Power just now.
Well, that's the point I was going to bring up with you, Hinch. I actually had this conversation with Will yesterday. He said that bump now is gone in turn 8. It had been there for years, and he said it really has presented an opportunity to go so much quicker through that corner. So obviously that could be a factor here, you think?
So Campino still hasn't put a lap together. He is 5 seconds off, but he's only done a couple of laps.
Right.
Had the earlier off.
So down here to turn 6. Yeah, just hung up the left front, decided to get out of it. Then hung up the right front, trying to get out of it. But it's so important to take care of tires. You're not tire rich in these practice sessions. You know, the way these weekends are formatted, you really, really don't have any spares. You don't want to risk anything. As we see Santino Ferrucci moving very slowly on track. Maybe a problem for the 14 deciding to park it behind the barriers there. Good for him, getting it out of the way, avoiding a red flag, letting everybody else continue to run, but something wrong with the AJ Foyt machine.
So they had some issues yesterday with electronics, power. I haven't heard what the final resolution was, but they did not get a lot of productive work done for the 14 car yesterday. When we get to qualifying today, as we see Theo Pourchaire, we'll talk about him in a second. When we get to qualifying today, I think it's going to be interesting as to when you go out. The tire is harder this year, so you have more opportunities, and if you're concerned about getting a clean lap, how much do you gamble about getting it at the very end of the session, but maybe not getting a lap?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think that we saw yesterday was that the alternate was a little more durable in the sense that it wasn't necessarily a one-lap tire. You know, I think Lundgaard was one of the drivers who threw it on right before the checkered in that first 40-minute session, had a decent time, went back out on the same set during his 10-minute session at the end, and actually improved. So that does give the teams and drivers a little bit more flexibility in how they plan out their qualifying. But it's going to be an interesting first qualifying for this guy here.
20-year-old Frenchman was very impressive yesterday in his debut at this track, his debut with this team, his first time in this type of car. Theo Pourchaire has been driving for over 17 years and has had a lot of success, and you'll see a trend, youngest ever through his resume in many different categories. You and I talked to Tony Kanaan, the Arrow McLaren sporting director, last night. He is impressed with this young man.
He really was, you know, and it was his attitude, his approach to this opportunity. You know, the first call was not, hey, we've got a ride for you. It's, hey, we have a situation here. We might need a driver. And he asked all the right questions. He was completely committed to the opportunity. Just thrilled, really, to have this chance to show himself in IndyCar. He's raced. Oh, contact outside of turn 4 there. Easy to do, and yeah, he's got to back off there. You see the white paint.
Guys, I touched a little bit the wall into turn 4. I think the car is okay. The car is okay. Do you want me to buck? If the steering wheel's still straight, happy.
I love that. The steering wheel straight. Keep digging. Let's take another look at it here. Just carries a lot of curb, a little bit of understeer, and it's so easy to do in that corner. The corner falls away. It's a bit downhill. You can't really see it. So you have understeer, and then you pick up the throttle, and the understeer can snap to oversteer. But that was a double hit there.
That's a triple kiss.
Yeah.
He got the rear, the front, and the rear again, I think.
I mean, all of them were smallish hits. The one that concerns me a little bit is you saw that the front wing actually scraped against the wall, peeled some paint off. You can see that splash of white paint on there. But hey, that is the robust nature of IndyCar racing on a street circuit. Theo just carrying along.
And he's staying in it.
Kev, you were wondering if drivers were awake this early in the morning. Colton Herta is awake after Graham Rahal got in his way, and he was not very happy about this. There were words on the radio and this gesture from Colton as they came to pit road because he felt like Graham got in his way a couple of times there on that lap. There was a little slight gesture from Colton Herta. Yeah, traffic even at 8 a.m., Hinch, that kind of makes you mad, doesn't it?
It's rush hour, man. It's rush hour here in L.A. That's the nature of the beast. And, yeah, it's always frustrating. You know, you try so hard just to find that gap, and then it takes another driver either coming out of the pits or slowing down to find their own gap to ruin your gap. And it is a bit of a game of cat and mouse, and it is definitely easy to lose your cool.
On last year's, we see Will Power back out on track, so that's a pretty quick fix, so he's going to get some meaningful laps. The advantage that Rasmussen has over Armstrong is he does get to do the Indy 500, so it's road and street courses plus an extra car. He'll have a new number in the month of May as Ed Carpenter is in the number 20 car. Rasmussen is impressive. He has won at every level he's been at. He's won championships at all 3 levels, so he's going to be fun to watch. Let's see what Power can do now as he gets back up to speed.
His teammates holding steady inside the top 10 there. Both those drivers, McLaughlin and Newgarden, did those lap times
Behind you just came out of the pit.
quite a bit ago. I see that Newgarden's now back out on track, so
Everything feel okay?
we'll keep track of him.
Yeah, everything's okay.
Everything feels okay, I believe is his response. No alternate tires in this session. The alternate session was yesterday. Most put them on in the final 10 minutes of that opening practice. So you can still learn things for qualifying, and certainly still just working on the balance of the car and getting it set up for the race.
Yeah, it is such a game of guesswork for these teams and drivers, because when we get into qualifying, the air is going to be hotter, the track's going to be hotter, the tires are going to be different, and the track will have evolved from the other series that are running here. It's so difficult to try to nail all of those different elements and predict what the setup needs to be. And this is really where, you know, the engineers kind of prove their mettle. You know, track temp yesterday in practice was 114 degrees. When we started today, it was 69. It's only crept up to 70. That's a very significant difference in track temp. If these clouds burn off and we get some sun when we get into qualifying time, that changes it tremendously. So yeah, it is one of the big challenges of street course racing.
And you never know the difference in the compounds of the tires between the alternate and the primary. You have a guess, but a couple of drivers, as we see the number 14 Sexton Properties AJ Foyt car, Santino Ferrucci, stopped. There was some theory that there may not be that much difference between the alternates and the primaries, and if that's the case, then you can learn something for qualifying in these kind of sessions.
It's tough to tell. I mean, you look at the session yesterday, and Pato O'Ward even said his guess was probably it's about a half-second difference, which is that's a good number. That's a nice delta between the two compounds. The actual lap time was a bit more than that, but he gave, you know, the track evolution some of the credit.
This is a very unique pit lane. Let's watch Joseph Newgarden, and that's Linus Lundqvist in the Pop-Tart car this weekend with the American Legion, celebrating the new movie with Jerry Seinfeld.
It looked like just a little bit of a slow launch from Linus. So look at the hairpin here. That's 51. That's Nolan Siegel. Again, all these drivers just queuing up here to get a good launch to start the lap. The alternate start-finish line is that white line you can just see on the left of your screen there. So that's where you need to have a good launch off that last corner, trip the timing beacon there to start the long run down the straightaway and officially start the lap.
What happened with Alex Palou?
Down into turn 6, a little bit of a lockup there, got out of it.
Not much.
Palou in a runoff's not something you see often, but at the same time, this is the time to do it. And imagine he got away without damaging the tires, without obviously damaging the car at all. Oh,
I was just going to say,
damage to the car though.
I was just going to say, Will Power is one that seems more than anyone to explore the limit and go slightly beyond them in practice.
Okay there, bud?
And it looks like
usually with no damage.
Yeah.
Right. Same corner that he had the problem before, turn 8. Now he's hit it even harder. Hooks to the inside. You see the damage to the front of the race car as well. AMR safety team, as always, quick on the scene. I wonder if he actually, I think he did hit the outside wall. And what can happen sometimes is if you don't just bend but break the toe link in the rear, it can completely push the rear tire out and force the car into the spin. Let's see what happens. Out of 6 here, down the hill now. That's going to be one that Will's going to look at and be frustrated about, because for a driver to make a mistake in the same corner twice in the same session, both with consequences in terms of damage, that's pretty rare at this level, pretty rare from a guy like Will Power.
Yeah, with the bump gone, you can get on the throttle pretty early, and just when it gets that power at the top, it just keeps catching me out. I think I'm good, and then suddenly big snap, so I feel bad for the guys to do that twice. I didn't expect that, but it's on me, man. I just had to review it, and I think the car's really good, so didn't really need to have a session like this. so late when it happens. It's just like, I'm good, wait.
And then you're not.
Then I'm not, yeah, it just snaps like a, you know, but that's the nature of that corner now. Yeah, unfortunate, damn.
How will you process all of that before qualifying, which is coming up here shortly?
Well, yeah.
How will you process all of that?
Yeah, I mean, the car's good. I feel good with the car. I just, yeah, I just need to look at turn 8 and not, maybe I need to back it up a little. Yeah.
How many cars are backed up with the bus sensor? There's 3 cars there right now. Bloomquist is going to turn 10.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, but dude, we've just wasted a set of tires because we can't do anything.
That's the problem. I mean, he could have, look, and here we go. Nolan Siegel, it looks like, not expecting that level of checkup there. Again, this is his first street course start in an IndyCar.
And that's past the line to start a lap, too, right?
No, the line's right up to the left there.
It's right after the hairpin.
Right after the hairpin.
Okay. But still, you're not up to speed.
So you see, little Rossi's there, parts. Kirkwood's going around the outside of Canada. Like, this is comical now at this point. And it's one of the most frustrating parts of being a driver. I used to bang my head against the wall in this situation because there is enough racetrack to at least have a couple seconds, and everybody just parks it there and nobody gets a lap in. There are 26 cars on track. Everybody but Will Power is out there with 2.5 minutes to go trying to get a lap in, and you heard Christian Lundgaard say it. We just wasted a set of tires. So obviously he had switched over to a sticker set there as we ride on board with McLaughlin now. Lundgaard down in 7th at the moment, but the new set doesn't translate to lap time because you just cannot get a clean lap, and that's one of the things that's tough about sort of dissecting the timing charts at the end of it. So here's a replay now. This is on board. Kyle Kirkwood goes on the inside of Rossi. Let's pass the outside of Agustin Canapino while we're at it. But his exit's compromised. Obviously, Canapino's exit is terrible. Rossi's exit's compromised, and this is Nolan Siegel nearly running into the back of Christian Lundgaard. It is a bit of a mess. It is a bit of a mess.
I just wanted to note something. There are timing and scoring shows 26 cars on track, not on pit lane. So I was hoping that maybe they rescued Santino Ferrucci. They did not. He's still parked. Marty.
Let's chat with Kyle Kirkwood, who's talking things over with his engineer, Jeremy Millis, here after going quickest today. And what a recovery for this team after yesterday's session. Yes, we're going to talk, Kyle. How was that, and how was the traffic for you? It looked a little busy out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you put this many cars out there on a tight circuit. And this really isn't even the tightest circuit that we go to. This place is notorious for that, right? You can't see anything in the last sector, so you don't know if you're coming up on anybody. I think I passed 2 guys by accident. One guy found, I think it may have been Canapino, found, what's it called, Anti-stall. So, yeah, I mean, it's a mess, but we expect it, and you try and do the best that you possibly can. Ultimately, like, you just got to mess people's laps up and just, like, back them up massively to be able to find your gap, right? Because there's only room for, I think, 2.5 seconds between each car, and everybody wants 5 or 6. So you just got to exaggerate it massively to just be able to get in a lap, which an accordion effects all the way back around, back to you. So it's frustrating, but at least we got a lap in there.
And after the day they had yesterday, what a recovery for this team today. Quickest here in the morning practice on Saturday at Long Beach, Kevin.
I love it.